Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, and we are with part 3 for our grocery bag sew-along. So welcome. Say hi, everyone. Say where you're from. We are streaming on Brother's YouTube and Facebook pages. Although I'm not live today, I will be in the comments. I have classes here in my studio, but I did not want to miss the opportunity to keep sewing with you. So as a quick recap, if you haven't joined us for this grocery bag sew-along, you can go back on Brother's YouTube channel, and there's part 1 and part 2. So we've already gone through the quilting of the bag, cutting up the pieces. Last lesson, we started to work on the pocket. So I thought we'd start there. But in the meantime, I did a few things on the stillaire, and I had one more tip for you to show for the placement. So let's just get right to it, and I'll take you back over there. In the meantime, I also have been watching all of your photos. You've been sharing photos using hashtag BrotherSews. By the way, you can post those on Instagram and Facebook. Last week, somebody said, can I post them on Facebook? I'm not on Instagram. Of course. We'd love to see what you're working on. So share photos of your fabric, your quilted fabric, all those things. This is going to be a really fun project. So we're now going to finish our embroidery where we left off and decorate our pockets a little bit. So head over there. I'll see you there, and I'll bring up my bag right here. So as a reminder, I know I have to actually go and get this out of my car or my husband's car every time I do a show with you because we're using it all the time. I should probably be making 4 of these at the same time. Then there'll always be one available somewhere. Okay, so let's head over to the bag. We're going to work on the pocket today. And absolutely still leave your comments and your questions because I can read those. And one more thing, the blog. This is on my blog at angelawolf.com. It will eventually be on Brothers. But in the meantime, I didn't realize comments were blocked. Some of you sent me messages. I'm trying to comment. It's all fixed. So if you go to angelawolf.com, you'll see the full blog post with all of the details, all the replays, and all the details for the supplies and all that, especially if you're just joining us. But be sure to go back and leave a comment because now I'll be able to see them. Okay, so let's keep rolling on our pocket. So this is the section that we started with last time, and you can decorate yours any way you want to, but here we go. So I had Win an Angel put into the machine for embroidery. I want to make sure it's within this area here. So let's go back to the embroidery machine right where we left off on part 2. And I'll show you another little trick for perfect placement. I call it perfect placement. So in the last lesson, you all saw how let me just bring you up here a little bit, how we use the laser light to make that perfect placement with that line. Well, there's one more thing I want to check. I want to make sure that my letters are going to fall within the area that I need them to be. All right, so let me just bring this down, get it out of your way. And this is on the stillaire 2. It would also be the same with the stillaire upgrade, with the upgrade. And this is the XE2 version, which is the embroidery only, but you could still do this on the XJ2. All right, so there's my letters. You can already see it's tilted a little bit because that's where I wanted it to be to line up on this line right here. But I want to make sure my letters will fit inside this area. So click OK. I was already playing around with it a little bit. Go down here and see this icon with the needle with the plus sign? Click that. And if I hit this button all the way to the left, this shows me a little green mark, and that's where my W will be on my fabric, which that's plenty of room. Let's go to the far right. And that's plenty of room to have my straps, and I won't cover up the letters. That's how you'll know how wide your design is. You want to know where the top of your design is? Right here. How about the bottom? That'll be fine. If I want to move it up a little bit, I could, but it looks like that should be fine. That was kind of the area that I wanted it. I just didn't want it way down here or way at the top. So click OK. I'm just going to use a darker, like a dark navy embroidery thread with this. And let's go ahead and embroider. And while that's embroidering, I'll go decorate the other pocket. I always like to stand here just for a second to make sure everything's embroidering the way it's supposed to. All right, let's go back to the table. Here we go. So I have my other pocket that I want to decorate. And for that one, you could still add embroidery to it, but for that one, I'm going to add just a couple of other designs. So I have my bias tape. You could also use self fabric. Well, that would look exactly the same. That would be weird. And some decorative stitches. So on here, I'm going to give myself just a few little guidelines. So if you're on the Stellaire, you have your sew straight line that you can use your sew straight laser light. And here, I'll give myself just a few more lines to use as a guide to add some decorative stitches. If you're using the Stellaire and the Luminaire both have the sew straight laser light. So do some other the Brother machines. If you're on the Luminaire, you could use the grid. Then you probably wouldn't even need to leave all these lines here. So whatever you think is best for you. So here's my center line. There's some guidelines. And once this is attached to the bag, it'll be like this. So head over to the sewing machine. See, how is our embroidery looking? Oh, it's looking great. So if you've never embroidered before, on your machine, if you look, there's a little green marking that's showing me. It's on the end right now. It tells me that minute 1 is finished out of 4. There's a little red dot right here that tells me that's how far we are in the embroidery process. I love it. Makes it so easy, right? Okay, it's looking good. Head over to the sewing machine. And now we're going to do a little bit of decorating for the other pocket. And you don't have to necessarily have both pockets either. You could just have one if you want. It's totally up to you. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that your pocket is open. I have it opened up because I don't want the back side of the stitches to show. So basically this back side is the lining for the pocket. You already have your fusible interfacing. If you're going to do decorative stitches, you have to have that fusible interfacing. Otherwise, your fabric will pucker and it doesn't look very attractive. Make it a little brighter for you. Okay, so first of all, I have just a piece of this double bias trim. I'm going to give it a quick pressing, and I know you can't see that. I will bring you over here to this table, though. So hold tight. I never want you to get seasick. So watch the embroidery for 1 second while I move that camera over. And also, don't forget to leave a comment. I loved all the hearts and the likes that you guys did saying that you enjoy this sew along. So if you're enjoying this sew along, be sure to let Brother know. And then maybe there will be more in the future. If you have an idea for a sew along, leave that too. All right, we're back at the ironing board. Here you go. Notice I have my straps all ready. That's going to be next. So here's my double folded bias. It's actually single folded. There you go. If I press that open, what do I have? Both edges are folded under, and I have something that I can use as a trim. Last week, someone said, well, can I use a ribbon or other things? Well, okay, you got ribbon. You have so many different things you can embellish here. You could also do stitches, you know, the decorative stitches in the machine. Any of that would be fine on here. But you do need that fusible interfacing on the back. I'm just going to put one piece maybe here and then another one here, and then I'll do some decorative stitches. Embroidery's looking good. I don't need to go all the way to the ends. Remember, this is where the end of my pocket will be with the straps. So I need to go a little bit past that. And maybe one more. So why am I pressing that? Well, I really don't want that fold line in the center. So if I press that open, that looks pretty good. All right, off to the machine. To start, I'll just grab one of these edges here. Well, maybe I'll start down here. I'm just lining this up right on the edge of this chalk mark. Then I know it'll be going straight across when I sew it. You could use a decorative stitch. For this, I'm just going to use a straight stitch. Stitch length of 3.0. And just stitch down one side. And then stitch down the other side. I'm just using the standard J foot for this. No, I'm not using a laser light yet, in case you're wondering, where is it? Hey, did you hear that sound? I think that the embroidery is finished. Yay. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I want to add a few decorative stitches. So let me just flip this around a little bit. Come on over to the machine without getting seasick. I know I'm actually sewing standing up, which I love that feature. So sometimes the camera doesn't like that though. All right, on here, you've got a ton of decorative. Now this is the luminaire. The scrolling is very similar on the Stellaire, or if you're using an older Dream machine or anything like that, just look to see if you can find a cute decorative stitch. Well, I don't want buttonholes. There's character decorative stitches, which these are really fun. Wonder if we could find, oh, do you guys, are there any fish in here to kind of go with my bag? I know some of you said you're using butterflies. I don't see any fish. I see a kite, a pumpkin. Oh my gosh, some of these are so much fun. Have you ever played with these, by the way? These are, I call these the long lost stitches. I don't really mean long lost because they're still there, but I think so many people forget they're here. In fact, just recently, Joanne was doing a project for Free Design of the Month, and she was using some of these, and I thought, I don't even remember that we even had some of those. Just checking for a fish. Might have to talk to brother. We need a fish in here. And since I'm not live, if you told me there's a fish, if there's a fish in here, put the number and I'll make sure on my next bag that I can have it. But all of these are so cool. How trendy. That's beautiful. All right. That kind of looks like a fish hook, doesn't it? I mean, it's not. It's an arrow, but it would suffice. All right, let's try it. It shows me that's what it's going to stitch like. Here, you have options. Do you want it to end? Let's see, I think it's this one here. If you want one of them, or do you want many of them? I want them to just keep rolling. All right, so let's go back to the machine. I'm using a dark thread, so unless I run out of bobbin space, I should be good. And I also need to switch to the end foot. I'm just curious for you, which decorative stitch you're going to do. So this is a perfect opportunity if you've never shared photos of what you're working on with myself, with brother. Take a photo of your stitch using your brother machine and let us see what you're doing. I'm going to start just a little bit beforehand because I know my strap's going to be right there, but I don't, well, I guess it doesn't matter. The strap will cover it up anyways. I have my chalk mark. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So I'm literally just going to hold my fabric parallel. So this line is parallel to what I'm doing. I have a little bit of a hard time using the Sew Straight laser light when it's a decorative stitch that moves around this much. So just use your hands. Don't pull the fabric. I'm just guiding it, barely. Like my hands are hardly touching it. I know this is fun, isn't it? Here, I'll bring you a little closer so you can see the stitch even better. Yeah, these kind of look like fish hooks. Very decorative fish hooks, I would say. I know I wasn't planning on turning the pockets into 2 full lessons, but after I decided to do 2 pockets, and then I wanted to show you how to embroider letters, and then try to get you outside of your comfort zone if you've never used these character decorative stitches before. I think these are going to be really cute. Well, I can't say I'm holding it totally straight, but so what I'm looking at is this line here. I'm kind of leaving parallel to this. Even when it moves from side to side, you can kind of see that. If you're nervous, just do it on a scrap piece of fabric first to just get a hang of it. All right. What do you think? Oh my gosh, that's really cute. I love that. It's not totally straight, but it's pretty close. I get a pass because I'm leaning over a camera. Does that work? Probably not. All right, so I think I'm going to do one more row with this because that does kind of look like fishing hooks. I'll just use this as a guide here. I'm using thread, very similar color to that bias binding. And this time I'm going to use this fold here to kind of eyeball this side here. Now, if you're really having a hard time keeping this somewhat straight, just go to a slower speed. So either let up on your foot pedal, or in case you're new to sewing, use this button right here to make it go slower. We'll go to medium speed for a minute. I'm not very good at that, though. I'm kind of like a speed demon. Get her done. But so this is full speed at the medium setting, and that's still plenty fast, and it just gives you a little more control to make sure the fabric isn't getting skewed at all. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to use the laser light. What would it look like on here? I'll start it on the next line. How's that? I'd have to say these look like these. I mean, you have to really use your imagination to make these look like fish hooks because this is an absolute beautiful embroidery or decorative stitch design, I should say. Having that stabilizer on the bottom really helps so that fabric isn't puckering because that's a lot of stitches going in there. Now, some of you might not have the luminaire or the stillaire. I guarantee you've got some pretty cool decorative stitches on your Brother machine, unless you're using the PQ 1500, which is a straight stitch machine. But all the others, that's one thing Brother always gives you, a lot of great stitches. All right, so I'm inside the area where I don't care if the design finishes full because I'm inside the area where it's going to be covered up anyways. How cute is that? Oops, a little dark, huh? So I'll press it. I see a few little wrinkles. All right, so now what do we want to do? Let's go back into the decorative stitches for a second. This time I'll use the laser light in case you haven't used that and you're wondering how to turn that on. Okay, so there's still a lot more in here. And this goes on and on. Ooh. Mickey Mouse. I could do the Mickey Mouse hand. It would be kind of like he's reaching for the fishing rod, right? Or how about letters? Yeah, that would look good. Okay, so I don't think that's thick enough. Let's see what this looks like. W. No, I don't like that. You can move through here and change them, add or subtract, whatever you want to do. Let's see. I'm going to, do I want that one? That W isn't bad. Let me see what else. I'm just going to hit a few of these just to see what they, oh, those are thinner. Let's see what this one looks like. No, I don't like that. What do you think? Letters or no letters? All right, let's go back to the utility stitches. Maybe there's something in here I would like. Oh gosh, I can't make up my mind. See this? It's much easier if I'm live with you because then you could make up my mind for me. Let's try the letters. W. Bring them closer so you can see this. W. Lowercase letters. I. N. Dash. N. Dash. Angel. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. You want it once or do you want it to keep repeating? I haven't ever done the letters where it keeps repeating, but we'll go ahead and try it. I would need a space though, wouldn't I? A couple spaces. So maybe at the end, let's see. How about 3 of those? All right. Well, let's give it a try. And by the way, on here, I don't know if you can see the whole screen, there's also a delete, there's a spacing button, there's other things that you can do on here as well. Let's give it a try. Oh, you want to see the laser. All right, back over here. So I'm on the Luminaire. I'll just use the simple laser light though to compare with the Stellaire, all right? Because you know on the Luminaire you can have the huge grid, which if you look over here is really nice. See that? So I could line this up with either of those other 2 lines. That's what I was mentioning, that you wouldn't need all these chalk marks. But I want to make it so, especially all my new friends who have the new Stellaire or the Stellaire upgrade. There you go. Let's turn the grid off. And now I'm left with one single line. Bring it over here just a little bit so you can see this. I know. So there's my green line, and I will line that up with this line. I'm going to start with the Win an Angel. I think I'll start right at the edge of where, no, I'll start in a little bit. That way I don't cut off my name. And then when I get to this side, I'll stop before I get to the edge. All right, so let's give it a go. Now I want you to pay attention to something. I'm just looking at this line way out here, keeping it parallel to my chalk mark. So you're probably thinking, wait, it's moving all over. Yes, but it's parallel to the line that I'm trying to stitch on. Does that make sense? Guess what I forgot to do though? Why do I know I'm going to run out of bobbin thread? Because we're live. Yeah, that's why, because we're live. It'll probably be like right when I get to the G. Oh gosh, let's check. Oh boy. Okay, do me a favor and leave me an LOL in the comments. Or you can do the emoji on Facebook. That's the funny one. Don't do the angry one. It's so close to it. I accidentally hit the angry one all the time. So hit the funny one where you're laughing with me. You know, this is on the E right now. Do you want to see how I can tell this? If you look at my screen, don't get sick. It says I'm on the E. When I get to the L, I mean, I could keep going, but I'm almost finished with my section. Do you think I should just keep it stitching even though you're not going to see the other Win and Angel? I was just trying to come up with some fun lettering. I could have made the spacing closer together, I suppose. There's the L. So this is what I have. What do you think? It's totally not centered. There's Win and Angel. And then here. You know what? I like just the name. I'm afraid if I keep going, it's going to look weird. So, am I all finished with the L? Let me double check. There, that's the L. I'm going to do the stay stitch and cut. And I know it's not totally centered, but I think I kind of like that. If I want to put something in here, I could always put a little flower here or maybe one little symbol. Yeah, I like that. How about if we do one? How big was that Mickey hand? Okay, I got to check this. Going back over to the screen. Come on over with me. Try to block the light from you so you can see. All right, let's go into, no, we don't want embroidery. We could add an embroidery design on there if we wanted to, but I'm trying to stick to sewing on this side. Character decorative stitch. Where was that Mickey? There's the hand. How big is that? That's not too bad. So if you look closely here, give you some ideas. I'm going to click the hand, click right here, and let's just do one of them. I think that's going to fit, and it'll make everything look like it was supposed to be that way. So it's kind of like Win and Angel's giving you the high five. So my foot's already here. Let's see. I'll just start right here. Oh, I hit the wrong thing on my foot pedal. All right, let's give it a go. I think this is going to make it look centered if the hand isn't too monstrously huge. Oh, I like it. I like it. So if you're using decorative stitches, do me a favor. In the comments, even if you're watching the replay, put in, I want to see what machine you're using, which brother machine you're using, and I also want to know what stitch. So this is obviously the Disney. Oh my gosh, look at how cute this is. Let me bring this out. That's perfect. Now it's centered. Oh, what a good save. All right, we need to press this. I'll bet you some of you are thinking, wait a minute, I thought you were going to show us how to embroider two pieces on here. Well, I'm going to show you that as well. But as you can tell, I decided to do decorative stitches on this one. So take this out of the machine. Let's head on over first to the, we'll go to the ironing board because I can do both of them there. Okay. So here is our Win and Angel embroidered. That looks fabulous. I could also add a few more decorative stitches here if I want to. I'm going to leave this hooped because after today's show, I might play with that a little bit. Don't worry, I'll share everything with you. If I were to lift that up though, and I wanted to embroider this piece here, all I would have to do is lift that out of the way and place this piece down. And I could have done the same thing with the embroidery right here. So conserving, just don't rip this off though, or you'll end up with a hole. Make sense? Okay, so on this piece, I could either do decorative stitching or add a few more of these little panels. Totally up to you. I'll put this to the side for now though. And for this piece here, we need to brush off some of this chalk. It'll just slowly wear off anyways, and give it a good pressing. So that fusible interfacing made it where you could make these beautiful stitches and there are absolutely no wrinkles, right? Okay, I want to know what your thoughts are about my little fishing hand. Probably didn't realize that Mickey likes to fish, but this was the perfect thing to add to the Win an Angel. Don't you agree? Yeah, I'll make it a little brighter. Maybe. That's my ironing board, not my stomach. Is that better? All right, let me bring you in a little closer. Okay, I'm absolutely loving that. So that was clicking the icon where it just did one of these, finish the stitches. These I really didn't care about. I could have probably, thinking back, since you're going to be thinking back, I could have clicked the button to start the stitch over, so both of them would have started the exact same. That I could have done. But if you're looking at my bag that closely when I'm walking around, then I'm sorry. Too bad. Okay, so I want to put some trim. This is the folded edge. You don't have to put trim at the end. I just like the contrast. You're probably thinking, okay, I would like to know how many people are thinking this. Why didn't I use this for the bottom end and use this for the top end? Well, I could have, but I'm going to show you a great way how to hide this raw edge when you attach the pocket. So I need a piece about this big. Let's go to the machine and sew this in. And then after that, if I decide to add any more through here, I could. What do you think? Should I do one more here to make it kind of even? Or just do one up here? Or one more row of decorative stitches? All these decisions. I have to make sure I have enough of this for the side of the bag though. So if you only have one package of this, this needs to go on each side of your side panels, which we're going to be sewing here at the same time. So, well, let's give it a look. Let's do the end first. Head on over to the sewing machine again. Okay. So there are a few different ways I could attach this. I could just fold it over and stitch down the edge. And that will be fine. But I know some of you are beginners or maybe have never sewed bias on before. So I'm going to give you a foolproof way to do this, which makes it look really nice. So changing my machine to a straight stitch. I don't need the end foot. I just need the standard J foot. It's very easy to change your feet. Here you go. Sewing, straight stitch, a stitch length of 2.5. Let me make this a little bit brighter for you. I think you'll see it just a little bit better. Here we go. Is that too bright or are you good? So open up your tape and then you have this edge right here. So you kind of have beautiful pressed lines already. So just open this up and I'm lining. You don't need pins for this. I'll bring you a little closer. Line up the edge of your pocket fold with the open edge on your bias tape. So this edge right here is lined up right on this folded edge. And I'll stitch right along that folded edge here. This is also a great place to use your laser light. Right there. So I can either line up the laser light right here inside this folded edge or line it up on the edge of my fabric. I wonder what color. Can you see better? Let's see. Red or green? There's green. Maybe white? Oh, yeah, you can see the white. Really good. So I'm going to move this laser light to the right. See, I'm just moving it to the right. It's right here. So I can line up the edge of my fabric with that light. Sometimes in the dark, on the dark fabric, it's a little tricky to see that fold where you're sewing. If you don't have a laser light, I'll give you a little hint. I'm using 1/4 inch wide folded bias tape. It's basically lining it up right inside that foot right here. Okay, this is an extra step. You don't have to do this step if you're an awesome sewer, which you all are. There's my stitching. Now I can take this and fold it over to the back side. And it'll stitch, and I know that it will catch all the way around. Before I do that, though, I like to give this a little bit of a pressing, so meet me at the ironing board. Oh my gosh, this time flies. So are you having fun making the bag? Something new, something different. All right, fold this over to the back side. So if you've ever sewn bias tape on and you didn't do that extra step, I would love to know if this ever happened to you. And you're stitching, it looks fantastic, and then you flip it over and you're like, wait a minute, my stitches went here, and then it went off, and then it went here. Yeah, well, if that happened to you, you're not the only one. Oops, a bit of water there. Okay, so the next step, I will stitch from the wrong side or the right side. It doesn't matter as long as these all meet, and put that in place. I need to decide if I'm going to do anything here. You know what? I think that looks fine. I'm going to just leave it. Once it's on the bag and this is folded down, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah, let's keep rolling. So let's go to the table. We need to cut the exact measurement. Well, I just have to let this dry a little bit. I forgot to shake my iron first. Just going to move the camera so I don't get you seasick. We'll go back to the table so we can cut this to the exact length that we need. All right. Do you have any questions for me? Although I'm not answering them live, I will be in the comments, and Brother Social Team is here as well. Okay, it's dry enough. Let's go ahead and just finish that last stitch right here. You know, I think I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. That'd be kind of pretty. Just click on, just go to your standard sewing stitches, pick a zigzag stitch. I am on the luminaire, so technically I can see what the stitch looks like. Can you see that right there? No, this feature is not available on the Stellaire, but it is available on this. And I'm looking for my little pen. Have you seen the pen? Yeah, I found it. Thankfully, I didn't have to say, hey, help. Okay, this is what I was looking for. It was over on the table. So this is the pen for the luminaire. I just press the button, the light shines, and I can change the stitch, but I can see exactly what it's going to look like right there on my fabric. That's a cool feature. Now, if I had done that with the Win and Angel, I might not have needed to add an extra hand, but the extra hand looks good. Okay, if you look closely right here, I can just barely see I'll put it on here. I think you can see it better on this fabric. There's the zigzag. That's kind of boring. It would still look nice though. No, that's all right. We'll still use a zigzag. I just want to make it longer and a little bit wider. So I can make it wider by touching this button and clicking the plus sign. And as I do that, you can see that it's getting wider. Oh, that's a little too wide. Okay, now press the button here and place it on the stitch length. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. All right, and oh, hold tight. We've got a visitor. You think you lost me? No, it was a delivery. Of course they're going to deliver during the live show. I would have brought you with me, but I didn't have a camera out there. All right, so I can see the zigzag. And let's go ahead and stitch it. I think that's going to be kind of fun. Oh, I was thinking, wait, can I use the J-foot or was I supposed to use the end foot? This one's fine. And if this is distracting, just turn it off. Just hit the projector button, it'll turn it off. So the stitch is wide enough, it's actually going off the fabric a little bit. Oh, it'll be fine. I'm not too concerned. There's so much going on with that bag fabric. I like it. You see it better underneath the... Yeah, and both sides are covered. Perfect. All right, let's get rolling on these because then we have to get to the straps. Take it to the table. So before I go there, don't forget, leave a comment below what decorative stitch are you using, what brother machine, and what decorative stitch. And if you want to, take a photo and add it. Can you add photos to the comments? That would be a lot of fun. I'm never in the comments when it's live, so I'm curious. Can you? Probably not. But on Instagram and Facebook, on your own page, you can. So here you go. It's finished. We need to trim it now and get rolling on our pockets. Here's the table. Okay. I've got the squeakiest shoes on ever, my little flip-flops. Can you hear it? Okay, so I'm going to leave this because before we end the show today, we're going to go ahead and add a few more rows to this in the embroidery side. While it's here, why not, right? So I'll put this to the side for now. And let's go ahead and cut this pocket and put it in place because you'll do the same thing for both pockets. All right, so back to our original pocket. Remember, we're going to cut this about 8 inches wide, even a little bit less than that. It could be like 7.5. And then the length we already have cut. So 7.5 inches wide. That's exactly where our chalk marks are. So let's go ahead and just cut along both of those. That's why we put those in there, remember? I brushed them off, but they're still there. So the best way to do this is line up your quilter's ruler right here and one of the edges at the bottom of the pocket. Okay, and now just flip this around because it's easier for me to cut this way. Let's go to this edge here. Oh my gosh, that hand turned out absolutely adorable. And we'll have to work on getting a little fish on there. That looks pretty good. That does not look straight. What did I just do? Yikes. Oh, it'll be fine. That's what I get for looking at the camera while I'm cutting. Never a good idea. All right, so we are straight. And let's attach one of our pockets. You'll do the same thing for both pockets, okay? So I'm going to do one side with you, and then you'll do the other side on your own. Here we go. See if I can brighten this up just a smidge. You never know what fabric's going to look good on here. Okay, so this is going to be my top edge. Hey, look it matched perfectly with my chalk marks, even with my messy cutting. So this will be my top edge of my pocket, just like this. So down here, we're going to fold this back. If you want to make sure it's straight, go ahead and give it a little pressing. I don't really think you need to do that, but you can if you want. Fold that under and flip your pocket. Do I need to do that twice for you? Look at just folding this back and doing a little finger press, you can see it. So here's your pocket. Fold this under. Try to make sure it's even. Give it a little finger press if you want. Flip it over. Throw a few pins in there just to hold this in place. See, I'll put it this way. I'm at a weird angle for you, but actually I'll put it sideways just to show you this one more time for those of you like, what in the world? So that's about 1/2 inch fold. It's going to be like this, but you're going to fold it flat. You'll stitch one line across here. Then we're going to press this up and stitch a second line to enclose that seam allowance. So, meet you at the sewing machine. All right. Get back just a little bit. So you could have this either way. It doesn't matter if you're sewing on this side or that side. Well, we'll go this way. Got plenty of room this way. I'll take that pin out. Go back to a straight stitch. 2.5 is fine for the length. And I'm stitching about 1/2 inch. Just about 1/2 inch. Really doesn't matter as long as it's wherever you folded your fabric. Okay, 2.5. Turn on your laser light if you have one. There, I can see that. You see that there right here? And I'll put this on the edge of the pocket. Moving it right to the edge. There it is. And now go ahead and sew. Do a back stitch at the beginning. Okay. If you have a problem going through all these layers, go ahead and throw your move it foot back on, but you can also just use your J foot for this. All right, now give me 1 sec. I'll meet you back at the ironing board. I know pressing is probably the most important thing that makes your sewing look professional, by the way. If you haven't noticed, I love pressing. I don't know if I love it, but it works. It makes your sewing look fabulous. Okay, so bring you back over here. We're just about done with our pocket, and then I'll give you some tips for doing the other pocket. And the next lesson, we'll start working on the straps. Okay, so there's our stitch line. Can you see that okay? Do I need to bring you in a little bit? little closer. There you go. There's the stitch line. You can trim that down a little bit if you want to. Yeah, I'm going to cut it down just a little bit, making sure I don't cut my bottom fabric. I'm just trimming off part of the seam allowance. Okay, cut that away. And now flip your pocket up. Give it a little pressing here. So that bottom edge, we've created a fold right here. There's my seam allowance. And if I stitch past that seam allowance, then when I open this, you'll have enclosed that seam allowance. So you have a beautiful looking pocket inside and out. All right, back to the sewing machine. Let's see. I can kind of feel where your seam allowance is. I want to make sure that I'm sewing beyond the seam allowance. Again, you could use a decorative stitch if you want. I'll move my laser light so it's a little closer here. Or I could even move my laser light way over here and line it up with this piece here. Nah, I'll go to this edge, just in case I sewed that on crooked at all. That would never happen though, right? Of course, never, never. So I'm lining the laser light up right here. So that's where my eye will watch. I'm not watching the needle. So again, do one back stitch, just not too much. Your straps will be covering that anyways. You could use a decorative stitch. You could use a triple stitch. I'm just using a straight stitch. Stitch length of 2.5. See what that looks like. Do we need a second stitch? No, I think that looks really nice. Let's double check that we encaptured our seam allowance. So when I fold it back, there's nothing there. So our seam allowance is hidden and our pocket looks fantastic. All right, so your next step, flip your fabric over. Let me bring you out just a little bit so you can see the whole image here. So there's your pocket all finished. And notice how nicely this lines right up with your chalk mark that you did earlier. So this is the top of the bag, unless my fish are upside down. And then just on this side area here, go ahead and give just one stitch right on the edge, 2.5 stitch length. Just to secure it. So when you put your straps on, you don't have to worry about this moving around. Do a back stitch at the top just to secure the bag. Just a little extra security there. And then let's go ahead and do this side. I don't need the laser light anymore. I'm just going to turn that off. Oops, wrong button. I'm trying to turn it off. There we go. All right. How big of a seam allowance? Like literally maybe 1/8 of an inch. Now there's one more thing for you here, depending on how much stuff you're going to put in your bag. That interfacing really makes this really stable here. But just like on a jean pocket, there's usually a little bar tack right here or some form of stitching on each end to just secure the edge of your pocket. So I'm just going to use a straight stitch. And I'll go back and forth just a couple times right here just to secure that. So I'm stitching in maybe 4 stitches and back. I'll bring you closer for the next one. All right, so from the edge, I'm basically stitching in the ditch along here. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, back and forth a few times. This is not a bar tack, although you could use that. So all that did is it secured the edge of my pocket. So maybe your baby in maybe 1/2 of an inch. And it just secures it. So if you put a lot of stuff in here, those stitches won't rip out. All right, let's take a little bit of a closer look at our pocket. Give it one last pressing. What are you thinking so far? Yeah, this is super fun. So I'm not saying the rest of the bag isn't as much fun, but embellishing this bag is the most fun because you have a ton of decorative stitches in your machine. No matter what brother machine you have, I guarantee you're going to find a couple of cool stitches. Even using the zigzag stitch, changing the length and width, right? All right, let's take a look at this, and then I'll take you to the sewing machine to do a little more embroidery on that other pocket, and I will install the pocket or attach the pocket the exact same way I did this one. So this is going to be your full lesson, getting the pockets, and then in the next lesson, we'll move on to our straps. Okay, this looks fantastic. I'll bring you out just a little bit. So here's my pocket. I have my chalk marks where my straps will go. Give it one more little pressing here. And what does it look like on the back side? Well, I've got a few threads to cut, but you can see there's my pocket, there's my encasing, and here's the edge. I have to say I'm kind of impressed. If I look closely, I centered that pocket perfectly. If you didn't, don't worry, nobody's going to see it. It's the inside of your bag, right? But this is why we did the lining on the inside, so the inside of the bag will look great. So you're going to do the exact same thing to the other side if you're doing two pockets. And in the next lesson, we'll work on our straps. So stay tuned for those. I made my own straps, but you can use ribbon. There's a lot of different things. I'll make sure I put them on the website for the blog at angelawolf.com. But let's go to the embroidery machine. I think there's a few more things that we could add to our last pocket. Okay, so this one here that we're embroidering, and by the way, I think I'm going to be making 4 more bags, so I might still utilize the bottom of this for another pocket, for another bag. So if you're making a few of these, I'm just helping you save some money on stabilizer. But there are a lot of fun decorative stitches I could use under here too, or an embroidery design. So let's take a look. I'm not going to embroider live with you, so if you have to run, don't worry. I'll just give you some hints until we move into the next lesson. But your job is going to be to finish your pockets and attach them before next week. All right, so let's head right here, and I'll take you back to the embroidery machine. Here you go. And again, we're on the Stellaire 2. For those that are popping in a little later, you can see my original Win an Angel on there. Slide this back in. So I'm not sure if I want to add lines of stitching or decorations. I don't know. Let's click OK. Let's go back home. And let's just look in here to see if there's something fun that sticks out. No, not Santa. Although Santa does come all in the fishing season. Let's see. See if I'm using my finger instead of the stylus. Let's see if there's anything in here that... What I was thinking is maybe one of these fun decorative stitches, a couple rows of these would kind of match the other side, right? But these are embroidered. I kind of like just sitting and watching something happen on the machine. Oh, I know. You probably want to know, how are you going to line this up with the lettering? Well, I'll show you. So do you see any fishing hooks or something that would work? What's your favorite? There's so many to choose from. Well, were there any Disney ones? I wonder if they had. I can't remember. Oh, those are cute. That's too much, though, with the fish. Let's go back. Don't get sidetracked. You can easily get sidetracked in here. There's so much to do. I was trying to see if there's one that's similar to the one I just did on the sewing machine. Ooh. I like all of these. Leave a comment if you have a favorite. Those are kind of fun. They stand out a little bit more. Um, maybe something like this. That's kind of cool. All right, let's try that. Let's set. So there's my itsy bitsy design. Can you see that? We'll bring it in. So first of all, I'll tell the machine I'm using a 9.5 by 9.5. Well, go in here. Let's go to 9.5, just so I know it'll show a box then. You can just barely see that little box. I'll know to keep my design in there. So first of all, I want to rotate this because my wooden angel's going sideways. So click rotate, 90 degrees. Then click edit, and this icon here, you know where the new matrix feature is? Well, we're not going to do matrix, but I can go ahead and add, let's see, is it this one? Yeah, and then add this way. So I'm making a straight line. I don't know how much I'm going to need, so why don't we just, even if we have extra, it won't matter. That looks pretty cool, right? So click OK. Let's click on embroidery. 5 minutes. I'm going to be using blue, but it says black. That's not a big deal. Click on layout. And now let's go ahead and do the laser light. And it says, do you want to line up the top part or the bottom part? Why don't we go to this top part, because we'll put this underneath Win an Angel. All right, so click next. It says, all right, do you want your line to go this way or that way? I want to go this way. Then click next. There's number 1. That's the top. And here's my laser. So I need to tell the machine where I want the first position to go. So this is my idea. Well, it's not my idea. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give markings for the same line that I use for Win an Angel, and then I'll move the design down. But this will be the line as my guide. So there's right pretty much close to on that line. I'll click next, and it says, okay, here's your second point. You know what? I'm going to go back to previous because I noticed that this doesn't go quite all the way across. So let's move this over just a little bit so it's right inside the line. Now click next. And number 2, yeah, that looks better. It's right there. Double check this one more time. Previous. That looks good. And the next. Nope. Previous. I'm moving it back. I keep hitting previous. Let's go over 1 right here. Now click next. We should be pretty darn close. That looks great. Click set. And now the design shows up on my screen, and it shows up over here. Now, I don't want to embroider on top of my Win an Angel, right? So now I will take this and click move, and let's just move it down. And as I'm moving it, the frame is moving. So let me bring you out just a little bit so you can kind of see what's happening here. There's a green marking right here inside the middle of the design. If I move this down, so it's still tilted the way I needed to line it up straight. Can you tell that? That's pretty cool. So now click OK. And now click this button down here, and this will show me where the design will fall. So if I click the upper left, I'm looking really close to my letters here. There's the top of the new design, and there's the far right. That's pretty close to my letters, though. I don't really like that. So I'm going to move it even more. Let's try that. Now it says my top right of my design will be right here, or top left, I should say, and my top right will be right there. I think that'll be fine. Click OK, and we'll go ahead and embroider. Okay, so while we're embroidering, I'm laughing. Everyone must know that we're making a bag because the door keeps ringing. All right, so what do you think? Is this going to be good? I think so. Is it finished already? No. Oh, no, it's still, oh, I got to check this out. Hold on. Oh, yes, it did one, and I didn't click the button to have it all go together again, so just go down. And now it's showing embroidering the second one. Okay, so this could be a lot of fun. You could use different colors. I think you're getting a lot of good ideas on this. All right, so my mic pack says that it's out of batteries almost. I'll let you go. While you're doing this, your job now is to embroider or decorate your pockets. Attach your pocket if you're doing one or two, it doesn't matter. And let me just get the websites up here for you. Here you go. brothersews.com, angelawolf.com. That's angelawolf.com is where all the details for the blog is right now, including the recordings. So pop in there. And the comments are working now, so you can leave comments. I would love to see what you're doing. If you're on the social page, be sure to use #BrotherSews. Share what you're working on. I'm dying to see all of your bags. I'm going to keep embroidering. And in the next lesson, you'll have all your pockets attached. We'll work on the straps. All right, until next time, happy sewing.